Nam-myoho-renge-kyo, 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 Nam-myoho-renge-kyo.
Hi, I'm Margaret, and this is the website where we take Buddhist philosophy and practice and apply them to the concerns and problems of everyday life. And today we're going to discuss 5 things to consider if you're not getting results from chanting. Now, we've been taught that the results in our environment occur from the inside out, come from inside of us to reflect on the outside. The law of oneness of self and environment. So if we're not getting results from our chanting, we need to reflect on the 5 following things. The first is ask yourself, what is my attitude? Have I been practicing seriously, or has practicing become routine and easygoing? Have I become careless in faith and started to take things for granted? Or do I have a really deep appreciation in front of the Gohonzon? The Clear Mirror Guidance says, quote, "The Gohonzon is a clear mirror. It perfectly reveals our state of faith and projects it out into the universe." If you've become careless and easygoing, then you'll be attracting less than desirable results. The guidance continues. One's mind of faith has a subtle and far-reaching influence. If you practice faith while doubting its effects, you will get results that are at best unsatisfactory. This is the reflection of your own weak faith on the mirror of the universe. So, if you examine things and find your faith isn't where it needs to be, it would be time to correct your attitude wherever necessary and renew your resolve to deepen your faith. Or secondly, are you strategizing first? Have you been trying to resolve your problems without chanting about them and instead trying to strategize and get advice from other people? Of course, we're taught to do that in our society. But once we have the Gohonzon, how do we ever expect to get benefits from the practice if, when encountering a difficulty, you don't go to the Gohonzon as your first action? This is just ignoring the great power that you have available to you. Or thirdly, are you wrestling with doubts? Ask yourself, do I have absolute confidence in the Gohonzon, or am I just not quite sure, doubting it from time to time? President Ikeda discusses this in The Wisdom of the Lotus Sutra, Volume 5. He refers to Nichiken, the 26th high priest, who reflected on the fact that there's a very important difference and distinction between the daimoku of practice and the daimoku of faith. The act of chanting Nam-myoho-renge-kyo is the daimoku of practice, but he says, the results of our efforts may vary widely depending on whether we have true confidence in the benefit of the Gohonzon. Offering the daimoku of faith makes all the difference. If we look at this from what we know about the way the natural laws of the universe work, we know that what we're thinking projects out to the universe and then attracts results back to us. So we need to ask ourselves, what am I projecting to the universe? If after reflection you discovered you have little faith, then it's time to take some of the following steps to start to rebuild it. Remind yourself, why did I take faith to begin with? Wasn't it because I'd proved to myself that the practice works and I'd gotten benefit? It's odd, but it seems that when faced with a difficult obstacle, people can forget the benefit they've received in the past. So make a list of the benefits you've received and ask your significant others to remind you of any others that you've missed. If you have unresolved questions or doubts, do some serious study. Go to a leader or advanced practitioner and discuss your questions with them. It's very important that you have them resolved. A lot of times, people think that study is going to be difficult. But if you go to the books available to us, you're going to find that there's an index in the back, and you could look up anything in about 2 seconds flat by topic. So take advantage of that and really look for answers to the questions that you have. Because doubts allowed to fester could result in your losing your practice altogether. Or are you chanting with doubts versus chanting with resolution? The following story, which can be found in the Wisdom of the Lotus Sutra, Volume 5, page 154, shows the importance of resolving doubts in order to chant with full resolution and focus. In the autumn of 1996, Mr. T, who was in his 40s and working for a construction company, underwent surgery for a tumor in his brainstem. Not a good place. It was not possible to remove all of the tumor. Mrs. T was praying for his recovery. But from the summer of 1997, Mr. T's headaches and nausea worsened, and he began having consistent convulsions. He could only walk with a great deal of assistance and communicated through grunts and moans. The doctors told Mrs. T the tumor had not metastasized or spread, but water had built up in the brain, and surgery to remove this fluid would be necessary. Mrs. T talked to her district leader about that and said that although she'd been chanting for her husband's recovery for a year, she couldn't see any improvement in his condition. Her district leader discussed her situation with Mrs. H, a nurse and an experienced practitioner, who gave the following advice. Quote, "The fact the tumor has not metastasized is the benefit of Daimoku and is truly remarkable. Mrs. T's questions about whether her husband will recover or whether her prayers will be effective are simply barriers she has created in her own life. But there is no barrier. There is no limit to the great power of Daimoku. Now is the time when she needs to offer strong prayers." It's a matter of overcoming any feelings of confusion or doubt and offering wholehearted prayer with the strongest possible determination and focus. Well, after receiving this guidance, Mrs. T's prayers became all the more earnest. That very evening, there was a change in Mr. T's condition. He started producing more urine, and a continuous stream of tears and mucus began flowing from his eyes and nose, so much so that his pillow became soaked. This continued for 3 days. On the 4th day, he showed startling signs of recovery. He could carry on an ordinary conversation with the family and could walk about without any help. When the doctors brought him in for more tests, they discovered he was fully recovered and would not require the surgery. This story illustrates how much stronger our prayers become when we resolve confusion and doubt. It also shows that when we project strong conviction to the universe, the response we receive reflects that conviction. And a final consideration. Are you chanting for both yourself and for others? Are you taking both steps of the practice? Remember, our practice requires 2 legs. Are you doing Daimoku, but also helping and teaching others? If taking only the one step, you won't get the full benefit of the practice. Doing the work for Kozen Rufu to bring others out of suffering is the vital second step, the second leg of the practice. As President Makaguchi said, there is no such thing as a self-centered Buddha who simply accumulates personal benefit and doesn't work for the well-being of others. Unless we carry out bodhisattva practice, we cannot attain Buddhahood. This is from the Heritage of the Ultimate Law of Life, page 107. In the Wisdom of the Lotus Sutra, Book 5, President Ikeda says that we receive benefit because we work for Kozen Rufu, and says that those who are doing the work of the Buddhas cannot fail to have their prayers answered. So we have to ask ourselves, do I have, as Jose Toda says, a beggar's faith, where I have a laundry list of things I'm chanting for and expect the Gohanzen to supply? Or am I doing my best to help eliminate suffering in this world? So in summary, today we discussed areas for reflection if you're not getting results in your practice. First, examine your attitude. Have you been practicing seriously, or have you become careless and easygoing? 2, are you focusing on strategizing rather than going first to the Gohonzon with your problem? 3, do you have full confidence in the Gohonzon, or are you dwelling in doubts? Then we discussed how to rebuild your faith if you are dealing with doubts. And finally, are you doing both legs of the practice? Chanting Daimoku, but also teaching and helping others to the best of your ability? Here are some other articles you might like. Do you know how you set up barriers to what you want? Faith slipped, 6 ways to get back on track. And finally, get the results in life you want. As always, I'm always interested to hear what you're thinking about. I try to answer every comment, and maybe somebody else will too. So I'll see you in 2 weeks.